Did you know that Israel's agri-tech sector is valued at 10 times that of New Zealand? And that is, of course, because of focused government funding, particularly into this area. Now, our agri-tech sector here in New Zealand has got a more horsepower last week, thanks to announcements by Minister Damien O'Connor and Economic Development Minister Phil Twyford. Very timely, of course, as we're over the 2 virtual weeks of our National Field Days. Joining us now to discuss this and the rise of interest in foreign capital to grow our agri-tech companies is Group Manager for Callaghan Innovation, Simon Yarrow. Good evening, Simon.
Thanks, Sarah. Nice to be here.
I'm sure you've done quite a few of these in the last couple of months, that'll be for sure. And it's just one way that we've shown that COVID-19 has been able to reinforce the lift and productivity that we can get in our sector should we see what's right under our noses. You'd be pretty stoked with the level of focus from the government and its importance now around agri-tech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a process. So, we started on the ITP, the Industry Transformation Plan. I've got to stop using the jargon. Probably about a year ago. It's been a cross-government agency effort. So Callaghan Innovation is just one of the partners, along with MB, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and the Ministry of Primary Industries. We love long names in government. Mm-hmm. It's been a collective effort. There's been a lot of work that's gone into putting together that plan, and we're really stoked that the government has chosen to support it in the latest budget. So yeah, we're really, really pleased.
How much of it is about collaboration across all those industries to talk to each other, as opposed to actually understanding farmer uptake of technology? And we can talk about all of this as much as we want, but if we don't have farmers uptaking or wanting to work with agri-tech development, we're sort of not really going too far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So the government collaboration piece is only a part of the story for sure. So what we've done is the ITP split into 6 different work streams, and one of those work streams is called commercialisation, and Callaghan's leading that work stream. And within that context, technology adoption is a key theme and goal for that work stream. And there's really cool opportunities out there. That's in fact one of the competitive advantages New Zealand has. You mentioned Israel in your introduction, Sarah, but Israel doesn't have an agriculture market like we do. They can't walk down the road and talk to major growers and farmers like we can, and so that's an advantage that we want to develop more. And we see some really good partners already out there, like the Rural Innovation Lab, which is a farmer network based out of the Manawatu, but now with more of a national reach. We're keen to work with them and help give companies the opportunity to partner and develop their products and services with farmers. So yeah, that's absolutely critical.
And of course, farmers' own data has been on the table, and the interoperability of the collaboration of this data. How far are we through that with your plan as well?
Yeah, no, we've just started working on that one. I mean, it's fair to say that issue has been tackled a number of times over the last few years. It's really challenging, so we don't want to underestimate the challenges involved. There's a lot of complexity. Companies own data sets and with good reason, they don't necessarily just want to give it away when they've put in a lot of work and intellectual property into developing that data. There's also different systems and repositories of data and different standards, the way that the data is stored and used. So yeah, it's a bit like getting people to talk the same language, if you like. And it seems a simple task, but actually putting that all together is not easy. But again, we see some really, really cool things happening. There's a group called the Trust Alliance, which has got a bunch of farming groups, for example, Potatoes New Zealand and Sanford, the fishing company, a lot of really cool tech companies, and even retailers like Foodstuffs. And they're trying to overcome those challenges around, tracking food through the supply chain, which is really important in terms of reducing waste and calculating levy fees and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we see some good collaborations and alliances forming in the area. So we're really hopeful that we can, further develop those in other areas where it's needed as well.
The goal is to get the industry to a $1.5 billion sector. How much of that is going to require foreign investment, and what is the appetite to invest here in New Zealand?
Yeah, no, that's a really key area, key question. So, New Zealand doesn't have huge capital markets. That's one of our challenges, compared to, say, the US or Europe or anywhere, really. We're quite well, we're actually not quite true. We're really strong in the angel, that early stage investment. But once you get into more mature risk capital, to use the jargon, venture capital, for example, it's underdeveloped here. So partnering with foreign investment is absolutely critical. And we've seen some really good investments happening in the space. There's a group called Finisterre, partners out of the US, the biggest agri-tech investor in the US. And they've invested in a number of really cool companies here in New Zealand, like Biolumic, for example, which does UV indoor technology, and a bunch of others. So, working with those international investors is really important, and not just for the money, but also to give you that access into those international markets.
How do we capture that value back here at home?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we do it by making this the best place to do, your research and your development, and by making sure we've got the really strong talent here. Because if you do that, then the head office will always remain here. I mean, sure, you'll open up offices overseas, and we need to, because you need that sales and distribution. You can't just trade from New Zealand, right? But we've got some good examples of that, companies like Robotics Plus, another company called Abacus Bio, it's got an office in the UK, but it's still very much a New Zealand company doing its research and its development here. So creating that right environment for that is really, really important.
Sorry, sideline, but I was just thinking about the dire situation around the wool industry and the strong wool sector, and farmers not investing in their own industry right from the start. There's a lot of farmers who would love to invest in these types of startups from the start, especially when they're used as test farms, test cases, or their data.
Yep.
Have we got an ability to set that type of market up?
Yeah, we do. And that's a really, really, and we're seeing that already, right? So there are some investment groups that are farmer led, and we've seen some really good technology companies start out from farmer founders. So probably one of the best examples is BBC Technology, which is a fruit sorting automation company. They also happened to be the biggest blueberry farmer in New Zealand. And what happened was they saw the problem, right? They were like, well, how do I sort my blueberries? No one has an automated solution here, and it's really difficult. So, yeah, we've seen that happening, and we want to continue to encourage that. So, yeah, that's, again, one of the key outcomes we want to see from the ITP.
I know that you have been involved in the Field Days Innovation as a judge. And we were going to hopefully speak to one of the judges on Monday as well, because obviously the winners aren't out till tomorrow. Could you give us at least a little bit of an insight into how exciting some of the entrants were this year?
Yeah. I mean, I was just involved in the Partnership and Collaboration Award. And it's a tough award because, there's really, really cool things happening in that area. We're seeing, I've been going to Field Days for at least 10 years. Initially in the private sector when I worked for a company like Livestock Improvement Corporation, and more recently, under a Callaghan Innovation hat. And there's no question that over the years we're seeing more and more collaboration, less of that DIY, I've got to do everything myself or in-house. And, companies and organisations need to do that to be successful. You cannot possibly hold all the knowledge and the technology in-house. I mean, you just have to partner with people to deliver products and services these days. So, we saw everything from biologics companies, quite sort of complicated biological solutions to data, to engineering solutions, you name it. The range is awesome, really good.
And of course, a lot of interest from those viewers online from around the world and potential investors.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, that's something we've really been trying to encourage, is that international partnership piece. And again, that's a key part of the industry transformation plan. So Field Days has had a really good relationship with Enterprise Ireland and Innovate UK, for example, and we've reciprocated that by going over to Irish Plough and UK Dairy Day. We're building relationships with Israel, actually. You mentioned them. So yeah, absolutely, because again, to expect us to do it all ourselves and have that sort of traditional trade mentality doesn't work in this area. You need to build those partnerships.
We do have a live show with questions that come in here. It's just a comment here from one of our viewers that is heavily involved in the British High Commission's online contribution in field days, saying that it was a significant number of UK participants that are very interested in agri-tech in New Zealand, and he was a panel member, a part of that online workshop at field days. So that's very encouraging to know. So and then, of course, one of the questions that we're asking just to end on, Simon, is, one of your favourite things about field days, and you can't say the innovation section, your prized purchase over the last 10 years.
I've never bought one, but I've always loved the bullwhip guys. They've always got that same stand. They seem every year to have it, and they've always got someone demonstrating it sort of almost endlessly, right? They must have to tag team out, and I'm sure the half a dozen people they've got have got massive right arms from doing it. Because, it's so like, I've obviously got quite a bit of interaction with the agricultural sector, but, I live in a big city and just to see that kind of side of it is just awesome. So, yeah, I always look out for that, go for a walk and go see if they're still doing it every year.
No, that's awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Simon Yarrow from Callaghan Innovation, joining us there to celebrate the government's investment and funding into growing our agri-tech sector to hopefully $1.5 billion. And I feel like we've come a long way in the last 10 years since Simon's been attending field days.
This is Sarah's Country.